You know what's interesting? Some of the most perceptive, emotionally aware people you'll ever meet didn't learn those skills from books, classes, or meditation. They developed them because at some point they had no choice. Their nervous system adapted to survive. They learned to read a room, anticipate reactions, and think ahead because that was how they stayed safe. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as traumatic intelligence, and if that term feels unfamiliar, that's exactly why this matters. Here's the idea. Trauma doesn't just leave scars. In many cases, it sharpens the mind. Research in developmental psychology shows that growing up in unpredictable or emotionally complex environments can heighten sensitivity to social cues, emotional patterns, and body language. Certain brain systems, especially those tied to emotion and decision making, become finely tuned to detect subtle signals most people overlook. From the outside, this kind of intelligence can be hard to see, but internally, it runs deep. The first sign is simple. You can read a room before anyone speaks. You walk in and something shifts inside you. A quiet alertness. You notice tension in posture or a fleeting expression that lasts less than a second. This isn't something mystical. It's pattern recognition. Your brain learned early to scan for emotional signals because at one point, that scanning mattered. The second sign is that you're highly attuned to other people's needs, sometimes even before they are. You notice when someone isn't okay, even if they insist they are. You feel shifts in energy before they've been named. This is often called hyperempathy, and it tends to develop in people who had to stay closely aware of others' emotional states growing up. You learned to feel others because you had to. The third sign is how you respond under pressure. When things fall apart, something in you becomes calm, focused, strategic. You don't freeze, you adapt. There's a concept in psychology often described as stress adaptation. When high pressure situations are familiar, the brain becomes better at handling them. What overwhelms others may feel strangely manageable to you. The fourth sign is your tendency to think deeply about people, almost constantly. You analyze behavior, you replay conversations, you look for meaning behind actions others barely notice. This isn't random. It comes from years of trying to understand unpredictable behavior. At some point, understanding people didn't feel optional. It felt necessary. Now, pause for a second. Everything we've mentioned so far, your awareness, your empathy, your ability to analyze. These are not weaknesses disguised as strengths. They are real adaptations. They reflect how responsive the human brain can be to experience. And there's more, because these patterns don't just shape how you think, they shape who you become. The sixth sign is a strong sense of self reliance. You don't wait to be rescued, you figure things out on your own, quietly. To others, this can seem surprising, but developmentally, it makes sense. If support wasn't always reliable, your brain learned to rely on itself. Independence became the safer option. The seventh sign is emotional intensity. You feel things deeply. Music affects you in ways that are hard to explain. Injustice doesn't just bother you, it hits you. And even small acts of kindness can genuinely move you. This depth comes from a highly responsive emotional system. You don't just observe life, you experience it fully. The eighth sign is your relationship with trust. It doesn't come easily, but when it does, it's real. Your threshold is higher than most, not because you're cynical, but because your brain learned to filter carefully. And while that can feel isolating at times, it also means your connections tend to be meaningful and strong. The ninth sign is how you relate to rest. Slowing down can feel uncomfortable, sometimes even unsafe. When things get quiet, your mind doesn't always settle. It scans inward. This is your nervous system staying alert, even when there's no immediate threat. And the irony is this: the same intelligence that helped you adapt now requires effort to soften. Learning to rest becomes part of the process, a way of telling your brain, it's okay to relax now. And finally, the 10th sign, a quiet, steady sense of meaning. You don't move through life on autopilot. You've looked closely at pain, your own and others, and something in you refuses to see it as meaningless. Psychological research on post traumatic growth suggests that many people who go through adversity develop a deeper understanding of what truly matters, a kind of clarity that usually takes years to build. In a way, you learn that earlier than most. Now, here's what's important: traumatic intelligence isn't something to glorify without acknowledging the cost. The awareness is real, but so is what it took to build it. What psychology helps us see is this: the human brain isn't only shaped by hardship in damaging ways, it can also be transformed by it. The way you read people, the empathy you carry, the depth of your thinking, none of that is accidental. It's the result of a mind that had to grow quickly, and did. So the question isn't how this started. The question is what you do with it now. If this resonated with you, take a moment. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd be curious to hear what part stood out to you most.